If you've ever struggled to connect different systems in Salesforce, or worse, hit one of those frustrating governor limits, this one is absolutely for you. Today we're diving into platform events, a really powerful way to build faster, more flexible applications. So let's get right into it.
We've all been there, right? Your customers today, they expect everything to be instant. They tap a button on their phone and they expect a real-time update on their smartwatch, like right now. But for any of us who have actually tried to build these seamless, interconnected experiences, you know it is a massive challenge. The complexity behind the scenes can be just, well, staggering.
As you start building, you inevitably hit these familiar walls. Your integrations start to look like a tangled mess of wires. You see errors like mixed DML. That's Salesforce stopping you dead in your tracks for trying to mix certain data updates. And of course, there are the dreaded governor limits, like CPU timeouts, where the system literally just runs out of time to finish what you asked it to do.
But what if? What if there was a way to sidestep all of these issues? A way to decouple your systems and run these big, complex processes in the background, asynchronously, without freezing up a user screen or hitting those pesky limits? Well, there is, and that's exactly where Salesforce platform events enter the picture.
So let's get right to the heart of it. What in the world is a platform event? Turns out it's built on a really simple but incredibly powerful idea.
At its core, a platform event is really just a message. You can think of it like a broadcast notification. It's this lightweight, secure, and super scalable little packet of data that you can send out into your Salesforce world. But here's the key. Instead of sending it to a specific system, you publish it onto a central channel, something we call an event bus.
And this whole thing is built on the classic publish-subscribe model. You might hear it called pub/sub. So first you have a producer. This could be some Apex code, a flow, even an external app. And it just creates and publishes an event. Second, that event message travels along the event bus. And third, any number of consumers that have subscribed to that channel receive the message and then they can take their own independent actions. The producer has no idea who's listening, it doesn't care, it just fires the event and moves on.
Now, if this is starting to sound a little bit like other Salesforce features you already know, you are on the right track. To really get it, we need to compare platform events to two things you probably use all the time: standard S objects and change data capture. Okay, so what's the difference between an event, which ends in _E, and a custom object that ends in _C? Well, a custom object is a permanent record in your database. You can query it with SQL, you can update it, you can delete it. It sticks around. A platform event is the total opposite. It's a temporary, unchangeable message, a ghost in the machine. You don't query it, you subscribe to a stream of them, and your logic only kicks in after it's been sent.
Now, people often mix up platform events with change data capture, but they really serve different purposes. CDC is amazing for one specific thing: broadcasting that a Salesforce record is changed. Its data structure is a mirror of that record, and it fires automatically. Platform events, on the other hand, give you complete freedom. You define a totally custom data structure. The payload is whatever you want it to be, and you decide exactly when to publish it. You are in full control.
All right, enough with the theory. Let's see how this actually works in a real-world scenario, because this is where you can really see the power of using events to untangle a complex process.
So let's imagine a really common business problem. A customer needs their car repaired. The job needs multiple parts, and those parts have to be ordered from totally different suppliers or systems. The tricky part, the repair itself can't be scheduled until every single one of those parts is confirmed as received by the warehouse. This is a classic coordination nightmare. Here's how we solve it with platform events. First, a service agent creates the repair order in Salesforce. Behind the scenes, a flow immediately publishes 3 separate part_order E events, one for each part needed. These messages fly out onto the event bus, where a completely separate warehouse application is subscribed and just listening, and it receives all 3 orders in near real time. Now the systems start talking back. As a warehouse worker scans the first part that arrives, that external app publishes a new event. This time it's a part fulfilled event, and it sends it back to Salesforce. A process builder inside Salesforce is subscribed to this channel, and when it gets the message, it automatically updates the case to show that, yep, the first part has arrived. The two systems are communicating without any direct, brittle integration.
And this asynchronous back and forth just continues. The second part arrives, another event gets fired, the case gets updated again. All of this is happening in the background. Nobody has to manually check statuses or refresh a screen. It just works until finally that last required part is fulfilled.
And here is the beautiful payoff. Once the system sees that all the parts are marked fulfilled, it triggers the final action. In this case, it's an automated chatter post telling the agent, hey, it's time to call the customer and schedule the repair. The entire complex multi-step process is orchestrated automatically from start to finish. It's beautiful. So this is clearly a really powerful way to build things. But to do it right, to do it at scale, you need to think about building a robust system from day one. Let's cover a few key design considerations you absolutely have to think about.
We're going to quickly touch on 3 essential topics for anyone who's serious about using platform events. First, what happens when things go wrong? Second, how do you make sure no messages ever get lost? And third, how do you keep your code clean and organized as your system grows?
So what if an event fails to publish? It happens. Maybe the bus is temporarily down. Well, Salesforce has your back. When you publish an event using Apex, you can implement what are called callback methods, on success and on failure. This lets you define exactly what logic should run if the publish works, or more importantly, what to do if it fails, like, logging an error, or maybe even retrying the operation.
Now, one of the most powerful features for reliability is something called event replay. You see, the event bus actually holds on to every single message for up to 72 hours, and each message gets a unique replay ID. So if a system that's listening goes offline for an hour, it doesn't miss a thing. When it comes back online, it just says, hey, give me all the messages after the last one I saw. It's like a built-in DVR for your events. It's a fantastic safety net. And finally, as your use of platform events grows, and believe me it will, you might have dozens of subscribers. To stop your code from becoming a tangled mess and to manage those governor limits effectively, you really need to adopt a trigger framework. A framework gives you a structured, reusable pattern for handling all these incoming events, which makes your code so much easier to maintain, test, and scale down the road. So, after all of that, what's the big takeaway here? Why should you really be considering platform events for your next big project?
It really boils down to this. Platform events let you build applications that are way more flexible, scalable, and responsive. By decoupling your systems, you avoid those brittle, hard-to-maintain integrations. By processing things asynchronously, you can finally break through some of those common governor limits. And ultimately, all of this enables you to orchestrate those complex processes that you need to deliver the seamless, real-time experiences your customers don't just want, they expect.
And that brings us to our final thought. I want you to think about your own Salesforce org right now. What's that one tangled, complex, or super slow process that gives you headaches? There is a very good chance that an event-driven approach using platform events could be the key to finally unraveling it. Thanks for tuning in.